Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode covering the Zelda 64 beta for Space World 97. In this episode, we are going in depth on the map and different locations found within the beta. The first thing we notice is that while there is some familiarity with locations in somewhat similar areas, the overall map is less detailed, but each individual area seems a lot larger. This isn't just a stylistic choice either. Let's begin with Kokiri Forest. By comparison, it looks almost as if it's a third to half the size of the entire map, possibly twice the size of the final version, and it's not just exaggerated on the map. The beta Kokiri Forest, as seen in this gameplay, is massive. Even the opening leading to the Great Deku Tree, which here is called the Great Fairy Tree, is a lot larger. But something else to notice is that it also seems a lot emptier. So while a lot of the time a larger overworld is better, having all that space empty with nothing to do can make a game so boring. So while at first you probably think you want larger areas, it does come with downsides. We also know many, if not all of the dungeons went through their own changes. We already have a video going in depth on this. The Deku Tree, Denongo's Cavern, the Water Temple, and possibly even more. Working our way clockwise, we now come to Hyrule Field, which looks about the same size, but squished on the top and bottom with Zora's River cutting through closer to the middle, and a larger section of land on the path to Kakariko Village and Death Mountain. Sadly, we don't really see an obvious location for Lon Lon Ranch, but we do know it existed as we have images and data of it. We can also see a lot of other landmarks that have been stretched or slightly moved. Now to Lake Hylia. Overall, it looks smaller with a lack of bridges between the islands. While the creepy scientist could still be in the laboratory, it looks more like a house here, and it also has an unused NPC that we don't see in the final game. I'm not sure about the exact location of the water temple, presumably around the same area, but the fishing pond is another mystery. Perhaps it wasn't added till later. Going up toward Gerudo Valley and the desert, which are also massive, Zora's River seems completely visible from Hyrule Field, as opposed to flowing through the giant canyons. One completely different thing is that we can enter Gerudo Valley and Gerudo Desert separately, whereas in the final game you have to complete the Gerudo stealth mission and be accepted by the Gerudo before passing through to the desert. Perhaps this area was changed when they decided to add the stealth mission. The Gerudo training grounds is thought to have actually been far more similar to the race within Dampé in the graveyard, which we will get to in just a moment. Another fun fact is that the game text confirms the statue outside and inside the Spirit Temple is actually Din, which aesthetically that matches. Din is closely connected to the color red, and the Oracle, based off of her, who also goes by Din, has a lot of the characteristics of the Gerudo women, most notably the red hair. Din is also the goddess of power, which just happens to be the piece of the Triforce that the Gerudo King receives. Also, strong, powerful women worshipping one of the strongest, most powerful women makes sense. Next, we have Hyrule Castle, which, common theme here, looks multiple times bigger. We also have a few screenshots of the beta Hyrule Castle, and they also look larger. Most recently, next to the castle itself is what some people think is a door, while others think it's a gravestone. We have some images from the data here, but there isn't too much more that we can see. Next, we have Kakariko Village, which we imagine this is a very early version of, probably from before a lot of the other areas. It looks like a basic starting point for almost any alpha version of a game, almost as if it was their first attempt at creating a village in 3D. No stairs or depth, just equally spaced houses. We can see this again in the graveyard. No real depth, basic textures, and the royal family tombstone looks a lot less spectacular. Death Mountain was apparently called Hebra Mountain, which most fans know was just introduced in Breath of the Wild. It's amazing Nintendo kept that name around for almost 20 years before actually using it. We see the usual differences, but the real change comes with Goron City. Apparently, it had a hookshot puzzle and a lot of other unused areas. Finally, we have Zora's Domain. It looks like we have 2 or 3 large waterfalls leading into it, as opposed to the multiple small waterfalls. We are currently unsure if the path in the beta would also be more like a puzzle than a straight path, or where it actually begins. In the final game, we have a short path from Hyrule Field before technically entering Zora's River. Here, it looks like an extended river flowing between Kokiri Forest and another forested area. Overall, a lot of changes. We will have more videos coming out going more in depth on individual areas, as well as explaining details on all of the unused items and exactly what they did, such as using the fire medallion for Din's fire or equipping it to the arrows to make fire arrows. Well, that's common sense though, right? But what would the shadow, spirit, or forest medallions do on their own or when equipped with arrows? What is this blue shell that looks like it was pulled from Mario Kart? We actually have a lot of data explaining it, but that will be for the next video. So please consider giving this video a like and subscribing so you can stay up to date and be notified when that comes out. We also have an episode on our Zelda and Nintendo podcast, the Hylia Gamescast, with Tony from Hard for Games as a guest. For those who don't know, his channel and team of collaborators are actually responsible for more rare beta and unreleased games than anyone else. And they take data from things like this and make actual playable versions of them free for anyone to download and explore themselves. A quick fun fact, we also have an episode with them discussing the original story for Zelda 64, where Link actually began as an adult instead of a kid, and instead of being sent to the Deku Tree because he's dying, Link is only summoned because it is his birthday and he's old enough to receive a fairy. There was a lot more awesome stuff in there too. That version of the game is actually even older than the one we've covered here. All of this stuff is after they changed it to you beginning as a kid. So for even more info, please check out that episode of the Hylia Gamescast here on YouTube or on iTunes. And if you'd like to hear my voice more and even see my face, I have my own YouTube channel. I am The Geek Apprentice, and that is also the name of my YouTube channel, where I stream games and play them very poorly but have lots of fun doing it. But mostly I make videos about everything from Zelda to Harry Potter to How to Train Your Dragon to Pokemon to Hunger Games to so many other things. So if you're interested in that, you can head on over there. But definitely be sure to subscribe to the channel here, 𝐵𝐸𝐽𝐺. We would love to have you here and have your support. So thank you for watching this video.